everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today I'm going to be reviewing Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Pokemon Omega Ruby. And the one that I actually played was Alpha Sapphire. Overall, I did enjoy this game, but I felt like Pokemon really needs to do something else here. I'm starting to get really upset with Pokemon because I feel like, the series has been out for 20 years now, and it's getting a little stale. Some games can keep the same gameplay for years, like Dragon Quest, and it can still be the exact same. People love it, whatever. Some games I feel like need a little bit of updating and, a bit more tweaking. And I'm starting to find that the Pokemon series is becoming a little stale for me personally. However, I still really like Pokemon. There is way too much nostalgia with the series, with everything, basically with the franchise for me personally, that I'll never, ever, not like it. But I'm still starting to get a little frustrated. So basically, Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire were third generation games for Pokemon. They're set in Hoenn. Classic Pokemon game, you start with, there's the 3 starters, you pick one, you go on your journey, you get 8 badges, you beat the Elite Four, you're a Pokemon Master, etc. And you can try and catch them all, but through each generation it certainly gets harder, because now we're up to like 600 some Pokemon. In fact, who knows, there might even be 700, I'm not 100% sure. As far as the gameplay goes in this game, it's the exact same Pokemon stuff that you guys already know. There's not a lot new here. This is basically the same engine as X and Y, or it is the same engine, and it's, they've really made it look great. I played the third generation I played Emerald when it came out, and I think I played that in around 2006, so it's been like 9 years since I've played this one, and I always remember thinking it was really neat. There were a few neat additions. There was the new HM Dive, and it was kind of neat. And I don't know, I really liked it. I liked the legendaries. I liked a lot of the new Pokemon. Gardevoir is, I would probably say it's my favorite Pokemon of all time. It's from this generation. So, I really do like this generation of Pokemon. Generation 3 is really good. The problem with Pokemon series is they keep making new games constantly, and they're doing the ports, which I think is fantastic. I'm glad they're doing this because it gives people a chance to play some of these older games that, say somebody doesn't want to go either try and find on Game Boy Advance or Game Boy or whatever, and now they're able to play it on their 3DS, which is great. I'm so happy they made a port for this because, hey, I was excited. I haven't played it for 9 years, and God, the graphics look amazing. It looks great. They updated it so well. But it's very much the same thing I've seen every time. And my only thing I'll say here is I realize this is a port. I realize they're not going to change things. They're not going to change the story. This is a port. It has upgraded graphics and a few new additions. Like they have the Mega Evolution in this game. And, there's a few things from X and Y that they carried over to this one and tried to make a little fresher. The only problem is, man, oh man, I'm starting to get tired of these games. And I think there are people that tired of these games 10 years ago, and and you guys are probably thinking yeah, hello, but I honestly wasn't tired of them. I really looked forward to each Pokemon game every time they came out. But this time, it's it finally hit me. It was a smack in the face, oh, wow, there's nothing new here. Nothing. There's nothing new at all for me. And quite honestly, I'm a little bit frustrated. These games are very easy, and they're making the ports of the original games even easier than the original games were. For example, now you have Experience Share, and the Experience Share can be applied to everybody. I know you can turn it off, but quite honestly, I do keep it on only because this game is long enough, and if you didn't have the Experience Share on, then God, the game is going to turn into a 25-hour, it's going to go from being a 25-hour game to a 65-hour game. God, I remember spending 60+ hours on Pokemon Black because it didn't really have that. I think you could only put Experience Share on another Pokemon, not your whole party. So you find the Pokemon franchise, or sorry, the Pokemon series, the games, they have a really hard time grasping a balance between everything. It's almost okay, first, we don't have Experience Share, so now you have to, level up each one individually. And when you think about it, when you play an RPG, you don't really individually level up each character. it's sort of just experience points go to your party. So you think, okay, experience share is a great addition. However, then you play and you find yourself being at, say, level 40, and then you're in the wild, all the Pokemon are like level 20, and you're way too experienced, and I feel like, okay, now I can basically be sleeping while I play this. So that's not great. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I don't want something that's so hard that I can't stand it, but I don't really want something that's so easy that I'm basically just hitting A and doing nothing. That's a little frustrating to me. So they're way too easy, and I basically just hit A, you know, or whatever, you know, you're just kind of going along the whole game with not really any thinking, to the point where when I was getting to the end of this game, I really stopped caring. I was like, whatever, I'll just beat the Elite Four and get on with it. And I stopped caring about actually finding neat Pokemon to add to my party, because there's no longer a challenge of using certain types against other types to try and, like, you know, you know, if I use electric over water, I'll have the advantage. It's like, no, it doesn't matter, because I'm already like 20 levels ahead of everybody else, or 30 levels. So it's kind of like a big who cares. They added Mega Evolution to this game. And another thing that I just didn't care about, because it didn't matter, because for example, my rival in the game, every time I met him and he'd say, let's battle, I was way ahead of him. And I thought, that's weird, because I remember in the old ones, I know this is sort of an old one, but before they ported them, in the original one, like first couple generations, you got to your rival and he was pretty much on par level-wise with you. Now I feel like you're way too ahead, and there's sort of not a lot of challenge going on here. The things are just given to you. You know, there's a legendary in this game that literally a guy just gives to you. He's like, oh, thanks for your hard work, and just gives you a legendary. And I thought, where's the fun in that? So that was kind of lame. I was a little upset. I think it just got me thinking that these games are way too easy and they have a really hard time with balancing. It's almost like, hey, well, before, you know, it took you 60 hours because you had to do everything individually. Now we'll give you experience share, but the problem is now you're way too overleveled. So there's just a bunch of like, eh. And then, you know, the gyms aren't that hard. They actually used to be interesting as far as you go in a gym and you'd have to figure out your way, how to actually find the gym leader. Now you kind of just walk in and it's kind of a big whatever. So, you know, even though this is a port and I know it's an old game, I just thought, you know, all they really did here was port it. And basically, if you're not like a super like hardcore fan of Pokemon, I don't recommend this at all, because you know, if you're new to the series, I would probably recommend X and Y, but even then it's sort of like, where do you start? I always feel like saying, if you've never played a Pokemon game, play the original one on the Game Boy Blue and Red or Yellow. And if you don't want to play that, you can play the ports that they put on the Game Boy Advance. They basically just the exact same thing, and they just made them look a little nicer, that's all. But there's something about the originals, either nostalgia-wise or perhaps I think they were a little bit more difficult. Now they're just so easy, and I'm not sure if it's because Nintendo thinks that the audience is super young, because I feel like there's a lot of older players that really want to enjoy this series. And I cross my fingers and I think maybe, just maybe, they'll do this. Maybe, in my dreams, Nintendo will make a Pokemon game that isn't the same. Let's make a Pokemon game that's a more typical RPG. Like, we've seen the 8 badges, we've seen the catching Pokemon, and we've seen you go to the Elite Four in the Pokemon League. We've seen it before. Like, how many times? If you count up all the ports, all the different ones, there's like so many Pokemon games that are basically the exact same game. I want to see a Pokemon game where you're like, okay, for example, maybe no longer a 10-year-old. Maybe there's no starter. You just go with your, you know, with maybe one Pokemon or 2 Pokemon, and you know, maybe there's some kind of a choice, but you know, something has gone wrong in the world, and now you have to set off on a journey and you have to fix it. Maybe it's like a post-apocalyptic world, and now all the Pokemon are bad, or there's some, I don't know, I feel like like there's always an evil organization in these games, but you never end up caring, because it's just that's what this is. It's very just That is the perfect description for this game, is eh. So yeah, a little disappointing that way, because you know, it makes me kind of sad, because I feel like I don't want to hate the series, but I really, really want Nintendo to do something else with it. Keep making these, that's fine, but please, please, please do something else. I want to see some spin-off game that is maybe for older players. That would be excellent. As far as the graphics, visually, this game looks amazing. It looks great. It looks just like X and Y. If you compare it to what it looked back on the Game Boy Advance, you know, it looks really good. No complaints. The settings are really good. You know, all the towns, they've really made them look nicer. So, you know, as far as that goes, it looks like a really nice, clean 3DS game. So I don't really have any complaints there. These games look really good. As far as music goes, it's just kind of there. It's just kind of in the background, which is a little sad, because I feel like the Pokemon games used to have amazing music in the first couple gens, and then they really started to go downhill to the point of where, like, you Black and White, X and Y, I can't even name a single, like, hum a single tune, but there are some, you know, well, almost all of them from the original that, like, I know the whole thing. I mean, again, that's the nostalgia playing into it. I played these games back in 2006. It's not the same as playing them in, like, 1999 or 1998. It just wasn't, it's just not the same. When you get older, and the nostalgia doesn't stick with you the same. However, there's some games that do. There's so many games that I play now as an adult that I know that in 20 years I'll always remember playing them. I'll always remember the music. But the music is not on par with what they used to be in the originals. That's kind of all I have to say about Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Pokemon Omega Ruby, only because, hey, it's a Pokemon game. They're kind of all the same, so there's not much I can say about this that wouldn't apply to, say, Diamond or Pearl, or, you know, X and Y, or Black and White, blah, 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 blah. They're all kind of the same. If you love Pokemon and you can't wait for the next one in the series every time, definitely, definitely, definitely buy these. I mean, if you love Pokemon gameplay, then these are for you. I mean, hey, I bought them. I like the Pokemon games, so they're not bad. I'm just saying, if you think you might be just a little tired of the Pokemon series, then maybe don't buy these. Maybe wait a little bit. I know some people who will wait kind of every 3 generations or so. They'll pick up a new one, and that I feel like is fair, because it's just not the same as it used to be. And I don't know if that's half age or like aging, or it's half just, wow, they don't do anything to this series. They really leave it the same. So here's hoping that one day we'll see a different style Pokemon game. You know, like a series like Final Fantasy. Okay, completely different, I realize that. However, they change things up every time. Every time, I'm not talking about a new cast of characters, that's a given. I mean, like, they change gameplay mechanics. They change the type of world. Like, let's have a Pokemon game that's set in a completely different setting. I know it's supposed to be this kind of modern Japan thing, but why not make a Pokemon game that's even the same? You can still keep the gym, like, the gyms and the Pokemon League, but let's have it in like a 1600s kind of setting, or let's have it in a future setting. You know, I want to see Pokemon in the year 3000. Like, maybe change it up a little bit, because if you guys watch my channel, you know that I love modern day settings for RPGs, especially because I'm sort of tired of the whole medieval thing. It's all the same. I mean, no, it's not all the same, but I've seen so much. It's refreshing to see something in, like, say, modern day Tokyo or modern day New York or whatever. It's refreshing. But with Pokemon, I've seen it. We've seen the modern day thing, and it's like, can we have, like, a feudal Japan Pokemon? I know they had the strategy RPG that they came out with a few years ago, but that's a little different. Which is actually, I want to check it out. But I want to see something new from the series, and I truly think that they can do it. Nintendo is great. They bring out amazing games. You know, I'm never disappointed. Nintendo's amazing. They're a great developer, but they just need to change Pokemon up a little bit. I don't know how you guys feel. I'm curious to know, for longtime Pokemon fans. I've been playing them since the beginning, since they came to North America. I've been playing these games. I've followed the show. I have all the merchandise, the cards, everything. I love Pokemon, but the games, the actual, not the trading card game, but these, they're just getting a little stale for me, and I just want them so badly changed up. So I'm curious what you guys think, because it's a franchise for games that makes so much money and has the potential to be something so amazing. And I just hope we see it. I hope we see something. So here's hoping. That's Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.